Now at 5, Carterville voters aren't finished yet. How they're dealing with ties in 2 city council races. Plus, higher natural gas bills could be coming to some Missouri customers. Why Spire says it's necessary. Plus,
the Trump administration could be held in criminal contempt over deportations. I'm Erica Brown at the White House with more on the legal battle over President Trump's immigration crackdown.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A court in southeast Kansas sentences a woman for her role in a 2023 murder. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Today, the court sentenced Kimberly Thomas Nyberger to 117 months in prison for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Nyberger took a plea deal for 10 years for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and obstruction. The court also sentenced her to 8 months for obstruction. The sentences will run consecutively. Today's sentencing stems from an incident which took place back in 2023. Authorities discovered the abandoned car and body of 23-year-old Dakota Patton in this field in rural Labette County in May of that year. They say Patton died from a gunshot wound. According to court documents, Clint Nyberger was the last known person to see Patton alive, arguing with him at a gas station over a woman. While Patton was missing, Nyberger and Kimberly Thomas got married. They then traveled to Missouri for their honeymoon. Originally, prosecutors had charged Kimberly and husband Clint Nyberger with the first-degree murder of Patton and conspiracy to commit murder. In October of 2024, Clint Nyberger pleaded guilty to an amended charge of second-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Well, the courts have yet to sentence him. A sentence of 24 years is recommended. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
And it actually turned out to be a pretty nice Wednesday for us today. Quite a bit warmer than what we saw yesterday. Mid-70s, a lot of clouds across the region, but 73, 74 Joplin. Also in Pittsburgh, most of us mid to upper 70s to near 80, so a little bit above where we should be for this time of the year. Slow drop as we go through the evening hours, but overall looking pretty good. We got a couple little sprinkles which are kind of skirting through, but I'm watching this little cluster of thunderstorms which will expand as we go into the overnight hours tonight and try to kind of work into the region. So late this evening, after 10, 11 o'clock, a few thunderstorms could get in. Now, if these thunderstorms do get in, they could be a little stronger and have some small hail associated with them. More thunderstorms on the forecast beyond tonight. We'll look at all of that here in a bit.
Catching a few. Spire says it's invested nearly $1 billion since 2022 to upgrade Missouri's natural gas infrastructure, improving safety, reliability, and supporting economic growth. The company is now asking state regulators to approve a rate increase to recover higher costs driven by inflation and interest rates. If approved, the average residential bill would rise by about $14 a month starting next fall, though overall bills might still be lower compared to 2024.
I would say we're primarily focused on providing safe and reliable service to our customers. And affordability is always top of mind. We know that our customers depend on us to heat their homes, for cooking in their homes, and so we strive to ensure that we're able to offer an affordable service to our customers.
Spire says it also wants to unify service territories and roll out advanced metering technology to benefit customers statewide. Election season isn't over for Carterville, Missouri residents. At last night's city council meeting, Carterville officials accepted election results from April 8th. There were 2 ties for city council seats in Ward 3. A special election will be held April 29th to determine the winner of a 1-year term that write-in candidates Crystal Buckner and Larry Wald tied for with 1 vote each. For a 2-year term, Cody Franks and Mike Dudley were also tied, but Franks was named the winner last night after Dudley bowed out.
At the Carterville United Methodist Church, there'll be a special election all day, just like a regular election, you know. So it comes at a cost to the city, but we are incurring it. We've already wrote the check, and it's being sent out.
This is the 3rd year in a row Carterville's had a tie for a city council race. The Jasper County Clerk confirms the city is paying $798 to hold this year's special election. The Trump administration's immigration policies are running into some legal problems. Erica Brown has more details from the White House.
Two planes carrying more than 200 migrants to El Salvador last month could land the Trump administration in contempt of court. A federal judge Wednesday said he found probable cause to hold contempt hearings for defying his order to turn the planes around. In a 46-page decision, Judge James Boasberg wrote, "The Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders." The White House says it will appeal the decision.
Present off!
This comes as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth hosted the Salvadoran defense minister at the Pentagon to discuss deportees being housed in one of El Salvador's most infamous prisons. A Maryland father is among those detained in El Salvador. The White House acknowledges he was deported after an administrative error, but insists Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a gang member based on allegations from a confidential informant.
There is never going to be a world in which this is an individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland because he is a foreign terrorist and a MS-13 gang member.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen arrived in El Salvador Wednesday in an attempt to secure Abrego Garcia's release. Van Hollen has been documenting the journey on his X account.
I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful.
Tuesday, a federal judge said she will order the Trump administration to show what steps, if any, it has taken to bring Abrego Garcia back. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
The Trump administration says the Supreme Court's ruling does not apply to El Salvador's president. He said this week he has no plans to send Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. Still ahead, unraveling the mystery behind a disorder.
Behind the increases in autism diagnosis rates in children. I'm Stephanie Stahl with new research from the CDC.
Plus, the link between your walking pace and risk for heart problems. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, new research points to an increase in autism diagnosis rates among U.S. children. As Stephanie Stahl reports, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is calling it an epidemic and is promising answers.
The report from the Centers for Disease Control found that in 2022, 1 in 31 children were diagnosed with autism by the age of 8. That compares to 1 in 36 2 years earlier. The U.S. Health Secretary described the rates as shocking.
There's an extreme risk for boys. Overall, the risk for boys of getting an autism diagnosis in this country is now 1 in 20.
At a press conference Wednesday, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. called autism a preventable disease and said environmental toxins are the cause.
These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old.
He rejected the theory that rising rates are due to better diagnosis, calling it an ideology of epidemic denial. But an author on the CDC study says increased awareness is a factor.
We've changed diagnostic practices, we've changed diagnostic criteria, we've broadened what we think of in terms of the autism spectrum. And also, we've gotten much better at conducting these prevalence studies themselves.
Kat and Dan West have 4 children, 3 of them with autism. They say the health secretary's approach will make things worse.
Autism is not an epidemic. It's not a disease. It is a developmental condition. The way you treat it is through support and therapies and treatments. Not by saying, let's find the cause.
The current autism rates are nearly 5 times higher than in 2000. West says early intervention has been critical for getting the best support for his kids. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Kennedy said he's moving surveillance of U.S. autism rates away from the CDC to the newly created Administration for a Healthy America. Your risk of heart problems could be related to how fast you walk. Research published in the journal Heart showed that people who had an average or brisk walking speed had a 35 to 43% lower risk of heart abnormalities like an irregular heartbeat. People who walked at a slower pace had a higher chance of heart issues. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to talk about dog parks.
Plus, we have more thunderstorms in the forecast. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, of course, it turned out to be actually a pretty nice Wednesday for us today. Warming up mid-70s for highs. A decent amount of sunshine. We've had some clouds kind of skirting through during the afternoon. But overall, looking pretty good. Great shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo. Of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Check out the temperatures. Mid to upper 70s once you get out into our western counties. Even our eastern counties, we're sitting into lower 70s. Through the evening, slide back to 70s, 60s. Eventually, we'll dip back into the upper 50s. That is really about it. Southerly winds kind of increasing for us today. So we've had sustained winds 10 to 20. At times, we've had gusts near 30 miles per hour. These are going to pick up even more. They're going to be moving tomorrow. Gusts 40 to 45 across the region. Super windy tomorrow night into Friday. They will start to come down once our front works in, which you can see that front starting to work in on Friday. And what that's going to do in return is give us a chance for thunderstorms. So at least a low severe threat for most of us, especially along and south of the I-44 corridor. This is going to be Friday evening into Friday night. Right now, we've had a couple little sprinkles kind of skirting through the region. Not a big deal. I'm kind of focusing on these guys back here. Here's Dodge City, so just south of Dodge. Some of these will kind of expand and start to push in late this evening into the overnight hours. Some of those storms could pack a little bit of a punch, and then we're watching our actual main wave is right off the coast of California, which will affect us as we go from Friday through Sunday. All right, through tonight, clouds kind of skirting through. Couple thunderstorms trying to get in, so this is going to be 11 midnight tonight. If these can hold together, they could be low-grade severe on the Kansas side with some small hail. And then as they work in southwestern Missouri, kind of falling apart. But a few storms to start the day on Thursday, then warm, windy. We're going to go into lower 80s by the time we head into tomorrow afternoon. By Thursday night, not much in the way of changes. We stay windy, we stay warm. We'll only drop back upper 60s. And then on Friday, we're going to push 80 again, but a few thunderstorms try to pop up late afternoon. Any storms that can get going ahead of the front, they could be strong to severe. Here's our wind shift line. So here's 8 p.m. So we got to watch these guys Friday evening. And then thunderstorms will form right along that front Friday evening into Friday night and shift off toward the south into the east. So very loud night Friday night. Now, this chances for severe weather doesn't scream tornado outbreak by any means. This looks like it would be more of a hail and a wind event. 63 in the morning on your Thursday, 75 by noon, high temp 83 degrees. Now, with those thunderstorms Friday night into Saturday morning, we're going to have periods of thunderstorms sticking around all through Saturday morning and even pushing off toward the east and then redeveloping again as we go into Easter morning. So get ready for a very wet weekend. A lot of areas will pick up 1 to 3 inches of rain. 83 on your Thursday, 79 Friday, 60s over the weekend with the showers and thunderstorms. More storms again, middle of next week. We're in the peak of severe weather season, so always pay attention.
Yeah, it's going to be soggy out there at the very least. Thanks, Doug. Spring is in the air, and so is the urge to clean. According to the American Cleaning Institute, 80% of Americans take part in spring cleaning each year. To help you tackle the dust and the clutter and overall mess, we caught up with Drew's cleaning crew in Joplin for their top tips in keeping your home looking spotless.
We live in Missouri and the pollen's high, so people love to have their windows open, and when that happens, then the pollen comes in and so does the dirt and the dust, and I just put an extra time on the counters and are vacuuming your furniture, maybe cleaning your curtains, and even your bedding.
Yeah, so exciting! The American Cleaning Institute says hard-to-reach places top the most dreaded things to clean list. We're going to have more tips from Drew's cleaning service tonight at 6. Just ahead, making the most of your tax refund.
Don't spend that tax refund on stuff that might be subject to tariffs. I'm Jill Schlesinger with some better ideas for your money.
Tax day has come and gone, and almost 68 million Americans have received refunds. Before you stick that money under the mattress, CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger has some better ideas.
The IRS says the average tax refund is more than $3,100. Before the money vanishes with mindless spending, consider addressing your big three. Number one, fund an emergency reserve that can cover 6 to 12 months of living expenses, 1 to 2 years if you're already retired. 2, reduce credit card or other high-interest debt. And 3, fund retirement plans to the best of your ability, especially if you have an employer match. If you don't have a plan through work, then use a traditional or a Roth IRA. As for paying down your outstanding mortgage, I know doing so may offer you peace of mind, but it depends on your interest rate. 54% of homeowners have fixed loans under 4%. So chances are investing the money that you would use to pay down your loan would likely result in higher returns over time. More importantly, when you pay down the mortgage, you lose access to the money. And as you get older, that money could provide stability. It also might be necessary to fund health and medical needs. In New York, I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Everybody loves getting that refund, but Jill says all that really means is you gave Uncle Sam an interest-free loan for a year. Go to irs.gov and use the withholding estimator tool to adjust withholding and see more of your money each paycheck. Our Pet Vet on Call up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a rare visit to a laboratory designed to see if your house could withstand catastrophe. Can it take the heat? Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to get some more spring cleaning tips from a local expert. Plus, Joplin residents are invited to give their thoughts on how the city can improve recycling efforts. And it's signing day at 3 local high schools. We're going to see where some young athletes will compete at the next level. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. As weather warms up, a lot of us are spending more time outdoors with our pets, and that brings us to today's question for our Pet Vet on Call. How do you feel about dog parks? Do they spread diseases or are they generally safe?
I love the idea of dog parks, especially for city dogs. Many people have tiny to no backyards and their dogs have no places to exercise, and yet they have dogs bred for high energy like border collies, huskies, terriers, hunting dogs. They need to burn off that energy or they will suffer from behavior issues. As far as safety, dog parks are neutral territory. Nobody owns them, so there's no need to protect them, and there's no dog fights. As far as diseases go, you're responsible for your dog's health, so keep those boosters current. And it'd be nice if people picked up after the dog messes, but they don't. So I recommend a regular deworming schedule, and then do it. Go find a dog park. Use it a lot.
You know, we invite questions from anyone. If you have a question, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question or sometimes brings us a fun fact. Comes every Wednesday on KOAM News at 5. You can also find answers to previous questions on our website. Let's check out our picks of the litter for the week. From the Joplin Humane Society, we've chosen this male Mastiff Husky mix. The society says he's friendly, playful, and a little bit goofy. His name is Chase. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, we have this 3-year-old Jack Russell Terrier, or at least a mix. It's a male named Bagel. If you're looking for a pet, why not check out your local Humane Society? The weather at the moment, at least, pretty good to get outside with the dog.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. We may get a few random thunderstorms tonight. That could pack a little bit of a punch. So there's only going to be 1 or 2 that pop up after midnight. 83 tomorrow, warm, very windy. Thunderstorms back in Friday evening with at least a low severe threat with those storms.
All right. Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.